Surplus pistols under 300 bucks are getting hard to find. So when Century Arms listed CZ70s for just $269, you know I had to pull the trigger. Are they any good though? Let's find out. What's up guys? Readiness Reviews here with you again. And this box contains a newly available CNR eligible VZ70 from Century Arms. With how expensive surplus firearms have been lately, I was surprised to see these coming in at just $269. I'm on a mission to collect an example of every CZ handgun, so at that price, I had to roll the Milsurp dice. Let's get it unboxed, check out the condition, hit the range for some testing, and find out if these Cold War Czech pistols are worth it or not. It's been a couple of years since I ordered anything directly from Century Arms. Lately, their available stock has kind of sucked, and in my opinion, their price is unreasonably high. $269 puts these in the range where I'm willing to take a gamble though. They put a lot of tape on this box, but this singular box is how it was shipped out. There she is. That was protected by a little bit of foam. Now on first glance, that is a pretty good looking pistol. Century Arms had these listed in being in good to very good condition. Let's get a look at this tag here. VZ70, 7.65, Czech Republic, CNR eligible, and they put a little zip tie in here as a chamber flag. So of course we have a safe firearm here. That is a Vzor 70, cal 7.65. Made in Czechoslovakia. The import marks are on the frame just under that. It does look like it was a Century Arms International import. The trigger guard is stamped with a little Czech lion. That particular marking indicates government service. These pistols were made for both government contracts and the civilian market, so not all VZ70s will have that stamp. At the rear of the slide, we have a nice little CZ stamp, another Czech line, and a 74. That 74 is the year of production, making this one just barely CNR eligible. It just turned 50 years old. On the right side here, we can see the serial number on both the barrel and the slide, and we have another CZ logo in our plastic grip. That grip appears to have a good bit of dirt and grime kind of caked on, and we can see where it is most certainly worn. There's all kinds of little nicks and dings in the plastic grip pretty much everywhere, but it does appear to still be in serviceable shape, and I don't see any major cracks or anything. The metal finish is looking quite nice pretty much all over. Towards the front here, we can see a little bit of thinning of the bluing where it has been in and out of a holster, but the majority of this blued finish is actually looking really good. These are a double action, single action pistol, meaning that the squeezing of the trigger will cock the hammer. They have a simple and easily accessible flip safety that also comes with a neat feature of being a hammer drop. If we have a cocked hammer, the pistol is now in single action mode, giving you a much easier trigger. We can put the pistol on safety and it safes just fine, it will not fire. But if we would like to return to double action mode, we can continue pulling down on that safety and the pistol will decock. I really do like a decocker safety. I think it's a good inclusion on any double action, single action pistol. With CZ70s and CZ50s for that matter though, apparently over time, the decocking mechanism can get a little bit worn, and if you decock it on a live round, there's a chance that round could go off. So don't trust that system 100% with these particular pistols. Let's get a look at this magazine. Good looking blued finish, no rust in sight. The follower here is steel, and that seems to have decent enough spring tension. The outside of our magazine base plate is a plastic material similar to Bakelite, and unfortunately, on each side of this base plate, we can tell where there is some cracking showing up. Luckily, the base plate does have a steel liner, so hopefully those cracks don't cause any issues. This is a single stack, 8-round magazine, and these pistols do have a thumb push-button magazine release. Our sights here are pretty small. We have a U-notch in the rear, and a simple blade in the front, which despite the smaller size, make for a decent enough sight picture. I think it's about time we get a look at the internal condition here. Takedown on these pistols is a joke. We'll go ahead and cock our hammer there. This push button on the right side is the takedown lever. We simply press that down, pull the slide to the rear, and slightly up. The recoil spring comes off, and that's our filled strip. Super easy. The VZ70 is a fixed barrel design. In a lot of ways, it's quite similar to a Walther PP or PPK. Even the recoil spring resembles the ones of those pistols quite a bit, having a small end and a large end. The inside of our slide here looks excellent. There is the slightest bit of wear on our slide rails, but this pistol does not look to have been shot a lot at all. And we can see the same with the slide rails in our frame. Just a little bit of wear, but I really don't think this pistol has had very many rounds through it. The bluing on the top of the barrel is thinning just a little bit. Let's get a look at the bore here. Oh man, nice and shiny, good strong rifling. I'm definitely happy to see that, and I'm willing to bet this pistol is going to turn out to be a pretty good shooter. Reassembly is just as easy, but we will drop our magazine first, replace the recoil spring with a small end going towards the barrel, return the slide to the barrel, compressing the recoil spring while we do so, pull everything to the rear, and there we are, a reassembled handgun. Now, what exactly is a VZ70, and why would I want one? Well, we can't discuss the VZ70 without mentioning the VZ50. These are essentially the same handgun. In fact, the VZ70 is simply an update to the older VZ50. For a couple of decades following World War II, the VZ50 served Czechoslovakia as mainly a security force and police handgun. It never really saw much military use. These were very popular pistols, and a ton of them were made. Despite them being relatively small and pretty underpowered, chambered in .32 ACP, Czechoslovakia got a lot of good use out of them during the Cold War years. Over its service life, however, they did find out a couple things that they wanted to change to make it just a little bit better. And that's where our VZ70 here takes over. The updates were extremely minor. I guess the biggest one will be the change in grips. The slide serrations had slight improvements. On the older VZ50, there was no cutout in the hammer. They added a cutout in the VZ70. My VZ50 here actually has a VZ70 hammer. Most of the parts are interchangeable between the two pistols. They textured the top of the slide to help with glare. I do believe there were also slight changes made to the trigger, the magazine floor plate, but I think the biggest difference between these two pistols is actually the magazine release. For whatever reason, on the VZ70, they decided to make the push button smaller and stick out less than it did on the VZ50, and in my opinion, that change results in the magazine being a little bit harder to remove on the VZ70. Let's be honest though, for all intents and purposes, these are essentially the same handgun, but I absolutely love my Czech pistols, and when it comes down to it, they are two separate models, so I had to get a CZ70 for the collection. So back to our question of being worth 269 smackers or not, condition-wise, this one looks really, really good. Again, Century Arms listed them in being in good to very good condition, and I would say this one leans closer to that very good category, so I'm quite happy with the condition. When it really comes down to it though, I like shooting my Milsurps, and good shooting Milsurps make me happy. And so I think the only way to decide for sure whether or not these are worth the price is to get them out to the range and put some rounds through it. It's unbelievably hot today. I've been out here maybe 20 minutes and I'm already sweating bullets. I think it's about time we start sending some bullets though. So I have 8 rounds of .32 ACP in our single stack magazine here. Let's load it up. Upon loading that first cartridge, the hammer is now cocked, so we are in single action mode. Well, all 8 fired, and I think all 8 were hits. That's pretty darn impressive for the first shots. As we just saw, the VZ70 does lock back on an empty magazine, and when you remove that magazine, it stays locked back for quick reloads. Our second magazine here is coming directly out of my VZ50. They are interchangeable between the two pistols. This one is loaded up with a .32 auto cartridge loaded by PPU. This time, we're gonna try out that decocker. So we are now in double action mode. This first squeeze of the trigger is gonna be a lot harder than it was in single action. Let's see if we can hit the target. When firing a long, hard double action trigger, you sort of want to stage it and pull out most of the slack and then a slow squeeze at the end. And there we are, hit the target. We're back in single action mode now, so it should be smooth sailing for the rest of our 7. So far, we have flawless function with the pistol. This is a very soft shooting handgun. It would be really nice for a female shooter, although the overall weight on this is like 25 ounces, so it's not exactly lightweight. When you combine that sort of heavier steel frame pistol with a very light recoiling 32 auto cartridge, you get a really soft shooter, which is a good thing for most people. Let's get a feel of that double action trigger one more time. It's a long, hard squeeze, probably something like 20 pounds, but it's right in line with most other double action service pistols. Let's see how that single action trigger compares. So it bottoms out pretty much instantly and takes very little pressure to go off. A very nice single action pull. Those were 71 grain FMJs from PPU that we were just shooting. I also brought out a box of 73 grain full metal jackets by Seller and Bellet. Let's see if they perform any differently. Back to the magazine that actually came with the pistol, and we'll just quickly load up 5 rounds of the S&B. We'll go straight through with single action this time. This is a sweet shooting little pistol. You can dump mags in this thing all day long and feel no fatigue. Since I brought the VZ50 along as well, I figured it might be an interesting side-by-side comparison to see if it feels any different in shooting. Do the hammer drop on it, so that way we'll go in with double action. Very similar long double action trigger. I missed that shot. Now let's try single action. Miss, miss, hit, hit, and empty. My shooting performance wasn't all that impressive with this one, but as far as the way the pistols feel, I mean, they're virtually identical. So far, we have been 100% reliable, and honestly, that's not surprising at all to me. There's a reason that this tried and true design stayed in service so long in Czechoslovakia. The Czechs know how to make firearms. Their handguns have always been excellent, and if it was junk, they would have replaced it. Yes, it's small, yes, it's underpowered, but man, it shoots. So we opened the video with the question of whether or not these are worth what Century Arms is asking for them. The list of surplus handguns at a $300 or less price point is smaller than it's ever been. There are very limited options, especially ones that are CNR eligible. These are by no measure an impressive firearm, but for an under $300 price point, you can take them out to the range and have an absolute blast. Pun intended, they are shooters. Good shooters, fun shooters, and I think probably well worth $269. They might not have big time military history behind them, but they were in the holsters of police and security forces for decades, and there's a reason for that. At this point, I'm probably borderlining heat stroke, so it's about time for me to wrap this one up. I do want to get your guys' opinion on these pistols from Century Arms though. What do you think? Did I get a decent deal on this one? Or did I just throw my money away on a pistol no one really cares about? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up to help it out with the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of my future military surplus firearms content. And I will catch you guys in the next video. See you then. Peace.